So for today's video, we're going to be doing something that we have done before, and we're going to kind of give a state of AEW. We're going to do the same for WWE as well. But yeah, we're going to kind of go over everything involving AEW, their titles, their feuds, and things that we're excited for going forward.
Yeah, so far this year, AEW has been on a hot streak. Their pay-per-views have been all hits pretty much, and the weekly TV is getting better and better through each week. But now with the All In kind of being done and over with, we have the results of everything that's happened. How can they continue to build up this momentum to potentially, catch up to be that number one spot? Obviously, people will always have their opinions on whether they can be or won't be, whatever. But obviously, their goal is to be the number one. And yeah, we're kind of going to talk about how they plan to get there, kind of.
Yeah, and we're going to kick things off with the end of the Death Riders. Now, obviously, the Death Riders have been running AEW for the entirety of this year up until All In, where Hangman Adam Page did defeat Jon Moxley for his title. But yeah, we are going towards the end of the Death Riders. They will likely involve Darby Allin in some sort of way. But what do you think of what we got from the Death Riders already? And what do you, I guess, think as how they're going to end, I guess?
Yeah, I think the stuff at the end of the year is definitely like an unfortunate thing where it was kind of at a wrong time. I think they were doing some of the right things, but just the outcomes and stuff like that were kind of just bad, I guess. But yeah, the Death Riders overall, I like the message that kind of was portrayed through Jon Moxley's sentiment this entire time of people need to step up. But now that it is the end, it should be very interesting because Darby Allin is probably going to be the one to kind of take them out. But also what's going to be really interesting is what AEW looks like without Moxley for however much time he's going to be gone after he's officially kicked out or run out or whatever is going to happen to him. Because, yeah, Jon Moxley has been an essential point of AEW TV and pay-per-views and everything of AEW for the past, since he's got to the company, basically. So, yeah, it's going to be really weird to see what AEW looks like without him, because he is kind of that guy who holds everything together in a way.
Yeah, Jon Moxley and the Death Riders, as I mentioned, have been running AEW for this entirety of the year. You'll see multiple Death Riders matches, almost like a bloodline-ish kind of thing, where you'll see multiple segments from them, you'll see multiple matches from them. And yeah, anything involving a heel, it likely ended up being with the Death Riders. They've been doing a lot of good stuff, and also involving the EVPs, the Young Bucks, and Gabe Kidd, and a few other people who's come in and out, as like Marina Shafir as well. She's someone who came in mostly unknown to the AEW audience and the majority of people, I would say, and now she's someone who I think people do have a little bit of excitement for. Maybe this Death Riders thing did kind of help her be a heel that'll be used in future TV segments.
Yeah, the Death Riders, hopefully once it does end, or whether it is kind of like we've seen in the Bloodline, where there's kind of a new shift of leadership. I could see potential Gabe Kidd if he wants to come to AEW more full-time and kind of, I don't know what his plans are with New Japan and AEW, but if he's the one to kind of take over the Death Riders, I kind of wouldn't be opposed to that. I think that could be a really interesting story. Maybe kick out Claudio and Wheeler as well, so they can kind of go do their own thing, whether they stick together themselves and ride in the tag team division, or they go separately. I think Wheeler Yuta is somebody who can definitely be a future guy for them, like a top guy, but it depends just how you get there and how you keep building him up. Where Claudio, he'll probably never win the big one, but is somebody who can definitely keep up with the guys who are in that world title picture, but can also be a very solid mid-card, or something like a Brody King in a way.
Yeah, we talked about him already, though, so we will go forward with the next topic, and that is Darby Allin's return that happened at All In. Obviously, he ends up helping Hangman Adam Page win that world title with Bryan Danielson on his side, of course. So, yeah, what do you think of Darby's return at All In, and then what's going to be kind of moving forward him? Do you think he's going to hold gold soon, or what direction you think he's going to go?
Yeah, it's really weird just to say when he's going to be able to hold gold because of Hangman. You kind of want him to have this belt for quite a while. He's worked so hard for it. You would hate for him to have like maybe a month, 2 months, even 3 months. I think it would be very short for him. So I think we're going to see Hangman with this title for quite a while. But Darby, I think now, hopefully going for like a top guy type of spot. He's always been a top guy for AEW, but we kind of talked about it off camera and stuff like that, where Darby's kind of never been the number one because he's with Sting and stuff like that. Was doing the tag work with Sting, and when he did do the solos, it's with TNT. But now going for the World Championship, I think can definitely elevate him to be that face of the company that I could definitely see him being, because he is one of the guys who embrace AEW very much. You can see it through everything he does. He bleeds the colors of AEW. So yeah, him being potentially the next guy up and a future top guy for him is definitely really cool to see now that he is Darby Allin by himself.
Yeah, if you've been watching the channel for a long time, you know Darby Allin is one of my guys, one of my favorites in AEW, if not my complete favorite in AEW. So I'm very excited for his return. I think his introduction back was a little bit kind of weird. I kind of wish he kind of just had the full entrance and all that. That's what I was kind of excited for, was to get that moment. We didn't necessarily get that with him coming down from the ceiling and all of that. But it was still a good moment. Still was a lot of fun. He still looked great. He does the same thing on the Dynamite after All In as well, where he's kind of in the rafters of the crowd, kind of eyeing down Moxley as well. So I think everything involving Darby will be very good. I do expect him to end Jon Moxley and the Death Riders, to be the official one to kind of put the stamp on it and send them away. And I do expect him to win some kind of gold. Obviously, it might not be that Hangman World title this year, but I do think that he will win maybe a TNT championship or something along those lines by the end of the year. Or at least, you know, something. He'll win something by the end of the year.
Yeah, definitely see him being that Continental Classic at the end of the year as well. Obviously, he had the runs previously, so yeah, he definitely could be a short contender for that tournament. And yeah, can definitely open a lot of doors for him there. But I guess the guy who kind of starts the end of the Death Riders was Hangman Adam Page, winning at All In, and is now the new champion. So yeah, I guess for him, it's kind of what can you do now with the keys again to kind of be different from what the last run is, I guess.
Yeah, because there's a lot of kind of moving factors with Hangman. Like, obviously, the Death Riders are still lingering around, so maybe we see one more thing involving him and the Death Riders. But I do expect him to move forward with something new, whether that might be a Ricochet or whoever it might. I'm not really sure who that next heel for Hangman to kind of take out will be. Is it just going to be Swerve or Ospreay? Or, you know, there's a lot of questions evolving around Hangman Adam Page right now, because people are very excited for this run. They're very excited that he won. But we'll see if he could kind of hold on to that momentum with whoever his next people are that he's going against.
Yeah, I guess that's the one thing that AEW needs to kind of sort out of, is who are the next top heels, with Death Riders kind of slowly going to be fading away, with the Young Bucks kind of being away now. There's not too many singles top heels. Like, you have your Ricochets, a Fletcher, Takeshita. You have those guys, a Bobby even, MJF. So you have the people. It's just who do you want to send out first? Obviously, something like an MJF we'll kind of get into a little bit later. But yeah, Hangman and who's the next opponent, definitely be interesting. Hopefully we get the one match with a Moxley, the rematch, but ultimately, like you said, we get something pretty soon after that to kind of kick off this World Championship run.
Yeah, and I'll mention his name once again already, but that is Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page. Obviously a very long history, a long feud, but they did sort of make up for it, at least in the moment at All In, where Swerve did basically completely help Hangman Adam Page get that win, where he was the final touch that Adam Page needed to get that victory over Moxley. So I'm interested to see where that'll go and how that'll happen, because there's a lot of moving parts with this. So if this happens, does that mean Ospreay will be upset that he got it first and not him, or will that be a triple threat match? Or yeah, just a lot of questions evolving around this trio of people here.
Yeah, I mean, the Swerve and Hangman stuff will be synonymous within AEW of like one of the top feuds of all time. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they go from here, now that they went from two dudes who quite literally try to kill each other to now, you know, may not being friends, but at least they're accomplices now. They've helped each other out. So I'm sure Hangman will sometime in this reign pay one back to Swerve and give him that one-on-one match. But also, he might also get a triple threat with a Will Ospreay sometime down the line. Because that, if Hangman even holds the belt all the way till the next All In, you could potentially see the triple threat between Swerve, Ospreay, and Hangman. Yeah,
for sure. But what we do know that's coming up for Swerve is Okada. We've seen the face-off between them. He mentioned that he is going after him. I don't know if it's official yet. I don't believe it is. But I do expect it to be official at some point in the near future. But that's Swerve Strickland versus Okada, potentially for that unified title that just came about.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the literal first time these two will go against each other, but at least the first time, I think, in at least in a few months. But yeah, Swerve and Okada, I think, should be an absolutely fantastic match. Okada is always the type of guy who, when he's fighting top guys, he's going to kind of step up his game. He'll hang up with the top guys. Sometimes, you know, he doesn't have that full enthusiasm as maybe the peak Okada had, but him and Swerve will definitely have some great matches, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, or even if you give us 15, I don't even care, because it'll probably be bangers, all of them. So yeah, Swerve and Okada is definitely something interesting and something new and fresh. So yeah, definitely interesting what these two have in store for us.
And moving on to the women's division of AEW, we have Toni Storm obviously picking up that big win at All In and retaining her world title. So what do you think is next for Toni Storm? Because she kind of has that same problem that Adam Page is going to have, where it's like, who is that next heel? Who's going to step up and be that person that's a believable person to defeat Toni Storm and take that title?
Yeah, they're kind of already teasing the Athena cash-in with her Casino Gauntlet win. So maybe she is the next one for Forbidden Door. Or if we kind of get some stalling where we get a few matches for Toni Storm to kind of build up to the big one with Athena. But yeah, Toni Storm, definitely going to be interesting to see where she goes from Mercedes, because that is kind of like going from the top to now you're never going to kind of surpass it. Obviously, you definitely can, but it's going to be very hard. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'd like to see Megan Bayne kind of go back at it, and then that one match at the end of last year, I believe. So maybe revisit that. Thekla, somebody who I think can definitely step up and have a match with her. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who is the person for Toni Storm.
Yeah, I think the women's division is getting more and more stacked in AEW. They're signing the right people and at the right times and everything, and I don't feel like it's kind of oversaturated where you have to worry about booking too many people or something like that. So I do believe that is a healthy roster for Toni Storm to take on. There's new people for her to challenge, like a Thekla and things of that nature. But yeah, I do think that Megan Bayne should potentially be that next person. She's been the big bad for a long time, kind of taking out all the baby faces such as the Anna Jays and everyone who she's kind of hanging around and still to this day do feud with. But yeah, that'll be very interesting to see what is up with Toni Storm. But now, speaking about the person who she did defeat at AEW All In, that is Mercedes Moné, picking up her first loss in AEW against Toni Storm.
Yeah, for her, we haven't obviously seen her since her loss, so I'm sure when she does come back, she will either be fired up, or we might see the kind of downfall of Mercedes Moné, where she has to kind of maybe try to refine herself, kind of like a Toni Storm may have did. I don't think she'll go full timeless on us, but yeah, Mercedes is obviously going to have to fight back after the big loss. Eventually, assuming Athena is the one to take it off of Toni Storm, though, when you do get that revisit of Athena Mercedes down the later in the year, I think that'll be an amazing match, just like the first one was. So yeah, Mercedes, I feel like she probably will be out for a little while longer. Maybe you won't see her at Forbidden Door. Maybe we'll see her at the next show, All Out, I believe. So yeah, hopefully she's not going for too long. But yeah, I guess it's kind of similar to Toni, where you have to kind of figure out what is next for her, because they haven't really set up anybody yet for the next spot for him.
Yeah, I think something that I'm sort of hoping for with Mercedes Moné is kind of the downfall of Mercedes Moné, where she'll start losing all her titles. I've seen that there's a Rev Pro match where she may be facing Dani Luna coming up in the recent future, so that'd be very exciting if that happens. But I am excited to see sort of the downfall of Mercedes, where she was at one point holding all these championship belts, and then she slowly, one by one, just dropping them back to whoever it may be defeating her for them. But yeah, I think that'll be an interesting story, because then what does that lead to with her AEW character? Is she still going to be out there being like the superhero, or is that going to be something to kind of lead her into that babyface role? So that'd be interesting to see for sure. But up next, we have one of the GOATs, and that is Kenny Omega picking up a loss at All In versus Okada. A very surprising loss. But yeah, a lot going on with Kenny Omega with his diverticulitis, with the match versus Okada. He obviously teamed with Will Ospreay earlier in the year. So what do you think is next for Kenny Omega now?
I think for Kenny, since he's kind of done it all, and I don't think they're going to rush to do a Kenny Hangman match just yet in this title run, at least this early. I definitely think it's something that's definitely possible, and definitely something we should get at one point. But for Kenny, I think with Kota Ibushi now being in AEW more consistently, I would love to see those two team up more consistently, be a real tag team, bring back the Golden Lovers, and kind of dominate maybe the tag team division, because I think the tag team division has kind of been stale for quite a while now, where you had the FTR and the Young Bucks kind of dominate, and those are your top two, and no one's kind of close. Where now you kind of have Hurt Syndicate, who are doing their thing, Jet Speed were doing their thing. You have the Guns back now, but I think Kenny now going to the tag team division could be really interesting. We haven't seen the Golden Lovers in AEW like officially as a tag team, so them going on a huge tag team run could definitely reinvigorate the tag team division and give some more life to it.
Yeah, for sure. I do really like that. Obviously, with the Golden Lovers, Kota Ibushi has been doing amazing work with Okada, even leading up into All In, where he's had an amazing match with him. So that would be very exciting. But something I'll be even more excited about is if Kenny goes against Darby Allin. Obviously, that's like a dream match of mine that I really want to see, and I really hope happens on a big stage with a lot of time given to it, with a hopefully good build with it as well, because that'll be an amazing match and a big spot for Darby Allin to be in versus Kenny Omega in that main event picture.
Yeah, I think this is what really tells who are some of the best wrestlers in the world, where what can you do without being the main focus of the show? What can you do without the world champions and just belts in general? Because now Kenny's kind of in that period where, he's probably going to win a champion in like the next few months probably, so what can he do to fight back, stay relevant, and just be Kenny Omega that we all know and love. So yeah, definitely going to be cool to see what is next for the cleaner.
And for the final what's next, we have what is next for the Young Bucks. Obviously, they picked up the loss at All In, and they are no longer the EVPs of AEW.
Yeah, for them, again, it's one of those things where they always can go back to the tag division, win the tag team champions, and no one would be surprised. But I definitely don't think it's something we should do just yet. Maybe we see them try to talk to Hangman Adam Page. Maybe they try to be nice to him again to try to get back some of their power. But yeah, the Young Bucks, obviously, we probably won't see them too much over the next few weeks because they kind of aren't in this FTR, Hurt Syndicate, Adam Copeland, and Christian stuff. So if they do get involved after maybe a FTR win again or an Adam Copeland and Christian win, definitely could be interesting. I think that's a match you probably want to do for Copeland. Christian is just get them all the best tag teams possible so they can kind of say they've faced all the best tag teams of all time. So yeah, Young Bucks should be interesting. Hopefully, I would love to see them maybe go face, but I don't know obviously how you get there. It's probably going to take a lot of time to do that because of what they've done over the past year and a half. So yeah, definitely should be interesting. Again, similar to Kenny, where this kind of shows who is the best. Can you stay relevant without having the titles, all the focus off TV, and yeah, what can you really do?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. I don't have too much to add with what's going on with the Young Bucks, because they kind of come around for a little bit, handle their feud, then they disappear for a little while and kind of do their own thing for a bit. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think they did an amazing job here with this kind of short storyline with Swerve and Ospreay and putting that stipulation on the line. I feel like did really add a lot to the match and add a lot of value to the kind of rewatchability of AEW, because you're going to want to rewatch that match to see what happened, because it was an amazing match. As well as moving forward, you're going to want to see what happened after that match and what did they do with the EVPs losing the Young Bucks losing those EVPs, and what did Swerve and Ospreay do to kind of benefit from that in certain ways. So that'll be interesting to see on the next TV. But our new TNT champion, Dustin Rhodes, is going at it with Kyle Fletcher in a brand new feud here that started at All In.
Yeah, I think in the moment, I definitely didn't like that Dustin kind of won because I wanted Fletcher to get the big win on the biggest show. But I honestly don't hate it now after kind of looking back at things. I love seeing the kind of celebration he got. He seemed really like happy with it, and I'm glad that he got like a big moment in AEW because it was kind of hard for him to ever win a world champion or even just a regular championship. So the fact that he actually got it, you can say that he's won a championship in AEW that singles is definitely very good. And I think in the long run, him being kind of the guy to kind of, I'm not gonna say pass the keys because he isn't. Dustin Rhodes isn't the top guy of AEW, but he's a legend no matter what anybody says. So him kind of giving Kyle Fletcher a little bit of a rub and, kind of making him a top guy. Maybe you see Kyle Fletcher get very, just destroyed Dustin Rhodes in that first match, and Dustin kind of gets sent away kind of quick. Or Kyle Fletcher just, has to fight with Dustin Rhodes because he is a vet, he is a legend. So, yeah, I'm definitely interested in what Dustin provides for the TNT title.
Yeah, I was very shocked to see him win, as you mentioned. I was definitely expecting Kyle Fletcher, but at the same time, as you said, it was kind of a feel-good moment as well. So the initial reaction was a little like, what the hell is happening? Mm-hmm. But then I kind of was like, okay, I kind of fell into it once he started celebrating and all that. It was a really good little moment there. But another All-In match that happened was the Hurt Syndicate retaining their tag titles with the help of MJF.
Yeah, the Hurt Syndicate have been dominant since they've joined AEW, now still holding those tag team titles. We kind of think we're going to get them versus FTR potentially at maybe Forbidden Door, or it might just be a Dynamite type of thing. But yeah, I think they've done great stuff. I've loved MVP's work this past pretty much ever since he's got to the company. I think he's done great. Bobby's has done great. I'd like to see Bobby, once they do lose the tag team titles, I'd like to see Bobby kind of go for a world champion. I'd like to see even Shelton Benjamin go for a mid-card champion. So, yeah, definitely love this faction. I think they've done great things ever since. MJF kind of, having that contract, I think he's going to be a perfect person for this. He's kind of like an Edge in a way when he's won the Money in the Banks, where he was like, oh, this guy's going to cash in at the worst moment when you least expect it, and you're all going to hate it because it's MJF at the end of the day. But yeah, with that Casino Gauntlet, he's definitely a top threat for Hangman. I definitely could see him being the one to dethrone Hangman eventually.
Yeah, MJF did pick up that big Casino Gauntlet win, and as you mentioned, he's gonna be like that Edge. He's gonna hit you right where it hurts, right at the worst moment. And when he does, or if he does cash in on Hangman Adam Page, that'll be a heartbreaking moment for everyone in AEW to kind of have to withstand that. But another Casino Gauntlet person that we have talked about a little bit earlier is Athena. She came out and won the Women's Casino Gauntlet, the first ever. Well, not technically not the first ever, but one of the first Casino Gauntlets at All In. Athena did pick up the big win.
Yeah, we talked about a little bit earlier with Toni Storm that they're already kind of teasing the match somewhat soon. Whether that is officially going to happen or it's something that we just get surprised with, it should be really interesting. I love that Athena got this big moment to have the Casino Gauntlet, because that does give her a first ticket to a world champion. I think that's a great way to introduce her. Everybody's seen what she can do with Mercedes Moné, so I think a lot of people understand that she is somebody who can definitely wrestle with the best and have great matches. And yeah, I think it's about time that she does show. I think we said this last year even, where she kind of needs to go to AEW, because she's only can wrestle so many more women in Ring of Honor and stay as one of the best in Ring of Honor for so long before she has to go to AEW. So yeah, Athena winning the Casino Gauntlet is definitely really interesting. I'm glad she's the one to get the big moment.
Yeah, she was one of the longest forever champions in Ring of Honor, so she has an amazing run. She's faced everyone, as you mentioned. She had a great faction with Billy Starks and the Minions. She had amazing matches and a history, and Billy Starks has had matches on Dynamite as well, so she's someone interesting to see come up at some point as well, and I'm sure we'll see them on that Dynamite television big spotlight as well. But yeah, Athena is someone who could cash in on anyone. She's someone who could defeat anyone, so whenever she does cash in, I almost do expect her to get the big win and the title at the same time.
Yeah. But then next up, let's try to change things a little bit. We kind of talk about a lot of positives, but we do have to talk about negatives as well. And I guess the big negative for AEW right now is just the women's division in general. They do have a lot of great talent in this women's division. However, the build up for some of them haven't been so great. They don't get as much TV time as the men do, and it's something that I think is definitely holding them back to being a top company. Is having a very, very strong women's division. They have a lot of top people. You have your Athenas, you have your Billy Starks, Hikaru Shida, Julia Hart, Jamie Hayter. You have a lot of women to definitely take that next step and be, like I said, a top woman in the division. But like I said, they don't really get that time.
Yeah, I think I would love to see more time given to them, more storylines given to them. We see the same thing in WWE, where the men, they'll get a lot of time. They'll get really cool storylines. The women, they might give them a lot of time, but it's just not that really cool storyline to go with that time. And I think AEW kind of does the same. We kind of fell victim to that at the All In build with Mercedes and Tony. I definitely feel like that deserved a way better build than it kind of got, because obviously we all knew the match was going to deliver and it was going to be very good. But I would have loved to see a little bit more emotion going into that match and have me thinking, oh, who's going to win, what's going to happen. They really didn't play into that a whole lot. And that's kind of the storyline with the AEW Women's Division, where they kind of get stuck in multi-man matches. They get stuck in these random feuds with random people at random times. And yeah, that's kind of been a problem, at least in the recent future of AEW.
Yeah, like I said, they have the talent. It's more so of just, what do you want to do with this talent? And I get that their men's side is very stuck. You have your Will Ospreays, your Kennys, your Swerves, Hangmans, and you have all this great talent, but you can definitely fit at least 2 matches for the women on you can at least give them 3 matches on a PLE, and they should have at least 3 to 5 segments probably per week on a Dynamite. Not even have to be matches, but just backstage segments. And they do sometimes do a good job. I think a Willow is kind of somebody who they, she isn't never the top woman, but she's somebody who is consistently seen, but somebody you definitely want more from, because, Willow is one of the top favorites. But yeah, like I said, AEW has the talent. It's just a matter of showing them off and giving them their proper time.
Yeah, I would love to see AEW do more women's work, even give them a women's pay-per-view PLE at some point, even if it's part of a Forbidden Door where you do a Forbidden Door with women against women, where it's just all women on that card at a Forbidden Door. I think that'd be very cool to see them do that with a Stardom or whoever it may be. But yeah, I think there's definitely improvements to be made in the women's division. Obviously, WWE has all their problems too, and they're going to have their problem in the tag division. I feel like this is their problem in AEW with their women's division, kind of finding a way to include them in the main event pictures and to make them feel like stars.
Yeah. And I guess the final topic for the video, kind of sticking with the women, and this is the new Thekla, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue faction. We've seen this happen on this week's Dynamite, where Julia Hart and Sky Blue helped Thekla get the win. So yeah, I definitely am interested to see what happens between these three, because they kind of don't have, at least Julia Hart and Sky Blue, we've seen them together, but Thekla now being introduced to this tag team could be very interesting. Thekla, since joining AEW now officially after her 45-day probation, she's officially with AEW now, so hopefully we see a bit more from her. But yeah, since joining, she hasn't done the most interesting of things, but I think now that she's officially signed, we definitely see her a bit more, and hopefully take the keys to being one of the top women.
Yeah, we haven't seen her do anything that kind of drug us into her character or anything. Obviously, her debut attacking Jamie Hayter was very interesting, but that was also just to write off Jamie Hayter and put her on the shelf for a little bit. So it'd be nice when Jamie Hayter comes back. I think that might be her first really big feud, and that's something that I will be interested in seeing. But yeah, until then, I am kind of interested in what Thekla does, because we do have a direction for Julia Hart and Sky Blue. They seem to want to be a good tag team and kind of maybe get some tag team gold, or they can, introduce those titles at some point in AEW. There would definitely be a team I would look at putting those titles on. But yeah, I do think Thekla should kind of stay in that singles division and kind of keep her as maybe like not necessarily the leader, but kind of the face of whatever this faction will be called in the future.
Yeah, I could definitely send this, not, I don't want to say like a Hurt Syndicate style, but I would like to see a picture with all three of these women, whether it is the future women's tag team champions that Julia Hart and Sky Blue could win, with Thekla, kind of like you said, leading the face, with holding like one of the big championships, whether that's the World Champion or the TNT, or the TBS rather. So yeah, definitely can be a really interesting thing but for these three, and hopefully it's not something that's forgotten about fairly soon, and something that they actually build off of.
Yeah, but that is our AEW, our state of AEW. What do you think of AEW? What is your opinions on their current product? What's your favorite feud? What's your worst feud? And let us know what you think in the comments. Leave us a like, and please subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.